Have you ever taken in a smell and been transported to a different time or place in your life? For me, one of these smells is the smell of chocolate chip cookies baking in the oven. This smell immediately transports me back to my childhood standing in my grandmother's kitchen. It is possible to link this smell with saved memories due to the three-component memory model. Being a psychology major and college student, it is extremely important for me to be able to understand how we take in, process, store, and retrieve information. In order to better inform you of this process and the three-component memory model, I will explain sensory, short-term, and long-term memory. Sensory memory is the first place that information goes when taken in from our senses. According to Robert Feldman in his 2013 book, Understanding the Essentials of Psychology, there are different types of sensory information. The first type is echoic or sound information. There's also iconic or sight information, and other sensory information that consists of things like smell, taste, and touch. Sensory memory is only a temporary store of information. If the information in sensory memory is given a meaning, it is then able to proceed into short-term memory. If it is not given meaning, it will then be immediately lost. Short-term memory is also a temporary store of information. Within the store or short-term memory, the process that takes place is called chunking. Professor Edward Vogel at Purdue University describes this process by taking a group of information that is broken down into smaller groups that can easily be stored. An example of this would be looking at the top line and asked to remember all of the letters involved. It is almost impossible for people to quickly glance at this and remember all of the letters. When broken down into chunks or smaller groups, we are able to better recognize and easily remember. You would have a better chance of remembering more letters when they're broken down into chunks or groups. Once this occurs, information is then able to proceed to long-term memory. In his 2013 book, Theories of Human Learning, What the Professor Said, Guy Lafrancois explains that long-term memory is composed of all that a person can remember that has not just occurred. This means that all of the information must have proceeded through sensory and short-term memory in the proper order to get to long-term memory. Like sensory and short-term memory, long-term memory is also composed of different types. The first type is explicit memory. This type of memory can be easily recalled and put into words. This consists of things like people's names or telephone numbers. Implicit is knowledge that we remember that cannot easily put back into words. An example of this would be a ballet routine that you've worked on over the last 18 weeks. It is not easily recalled and put into words, although once you go from start to finish and perform the routine, you can easily remember. Information in long-term memory remains relatively stable over a long period of time. Through the processes involved in each sensory, short-term, and long-term memory gives us the ability to better understand how we take in and process information. This is important, especially as college students and anyone that wants to remember certain pieces of information. So the next time you smell chocolate chip cookies baking or a warm breeze on your face and you're transported to a different time or place in your life, you will understand how using the three-component memory model allows that to happen.